Good morning, everybody. It's Mrs. Montague here, and today I wanted to give you a quick overview of how to use Google Drive. So, I've got my Cherokee County Schools Google Drive pulled up here, and that is drive.google.com to get you there quickly. And I'm just going to go over the basics of organizing your drive, getting files added to your drive, and just general things like that. So the first thing that I want to cover is on the top toolbar up here. You've got your Drive logo. You can search your drive here. And then over here, you've got support. So if you need questions answered about Drive, you can check out that support link. And then you've got settings right here as well. So I'm actually going to go into settings to show you some things here. So you will have your storage listed out with how much storage you've used. You can convert any uploads. So if you upload like a Microsoft Word document or a Microsoft PowerPoint, something like that, you can convert that automatically to the Google Docs or Google Sheets or Google Slides format, so you can edit it within Google Drive. You can also select whether or not you want offline access to your files. So if you're going to be going somewhere where you're not going to have internet access and you think that you'll need to access your files on Drive, you can turn on your offline access, and that will give you access to any of your Google files while you are off the internet. You can also change the density, which is just how many files you see at a time. Comfortable is probably the biggest, and then you can go cozy or compact, and that will just make you see more files per page than what you would otherwise see on the comfortable view. You can also check out these suggestions. So I've got quick access turned on. You can make sure the important people and important files that are shared with you show up quickly. And you can make your priority your default homepage, which is any documents that you have made a priority that you think are important to work on. I prefer just having my Drive as my homepage, so I don't have that suggestion turned on. You can also change your notification settings here, just in browser notifications or email notifications, very basic. And you can also manage your apps that are connected to Google Drive from here. So I've got a few. You can see this Doctopus, Gubrick, are things that are built in for grading off of a rubric, things like that. So there are apps that you can connect to Google Drive to work with Google Drive. And so if you see this Connect More Apps link right here, that's how you can find additional apps to connect if you need some additional functionality built in that you're not seeing in Google Drive. There's all kinds of options. So those are your basic settings for Drive. Not very in-depth there, but a few important things in case you want to, again, get that offline access or change your notification settings, things like that. So you can see I mentioned that I've got quick access turned on. So up here, the first thing I see is all quick access files, which are just things that I open or edit a lot, things that I've clicked on recently. That's going to show me basically kind of my workflow for the day, things that I've done in my Google Drive, documents, slides, websites, whatever that I've been working on. And below that, you can see my general file structure. So I like to really, really organize my files and dig deep. So if you see this old file I've got in here, when I used to be a technology technician on tier 2. So I've got all those files here. I used to work at the Murphy Middle School, so I've got all those files, and then all of my Hiwassee Dam files from when I worked there last year. So I just stuck those into an old folder to still have access, and then I also have got my MHS files here, so you can see all of my folder structures here. So for instance, if I go into collaborations, I've got each department plus professional development that I put on. And then if you go into each department, I've got some general notes, some meetings, and I've got any collaborative units or lessons that I've worked on with anyone from each department in there as well for collaborations. So I really like to organize my files just to make it easy to access, easier for me to remember where I've put things, stuff like that. And you could see I clicked on the top. It kind of shows you your path. So I've clicked on my drive and now I've clicked into MHS. When I click into collaborations, now that shows up here at the top. And you can navigate through your file structure from that top section as well, just by clicking on the folders beforehand. And you notice in that drop down, you can create a new folder within MHS from here. You can share an entire folder, get a shareable link to your folder. You can move things, add a star to denote its importance. You can rename something, change the color of it. You can search within that specific folder. You can download the folder, or you can choose to completely remove the folder. This search within is a really great tool. If you use this search drive option at the top, it's only going to search all of your entire drive. And so the search within helps you kind of narrow down, so you'd only be searching within a specific folder instead of your entire drive. Over here, you can see you've got this big new button with the little plus sign on it. So if I click on that, you can see I can upload or add a new folder. I can do a file upload or a folder upload. So if I've got something stored locally on my computer that I want to add, I can click those options. So let's just say I click file upload. It's going to take me to my local documents on my computer, and I can pick anything I want to upload from there. You can also create a new Google document, a new Google Sheet, Google Slide, and if you click more, it gives you the options for creating new forms, drawings, a new map, a new Google site, and gives you the additional options of anything that you might have built in to Drive to use. And then, of course, you've got the option to connect more apps as well. So if you've got a third-party app that you are connecting to Drive, you can insert that in there. So you've got easy access to create those kinds of files when you want to do that. Okay, so anyway, anytime you create a new file, it's going to be put in whichever folder you are in. So right now I am in the MHS folder. If I create a new file, that's where it's going to show up. If I go back into my collaborations folder, if I click new here and click new Google Doc, you see it's going to open this new Google Doc. I'm just going to give this one a title really quick and say test doc. Okay, and you see it is saving, and all changes are saved in Drive. So when I exit out of that, I will have to refresh my page. You can see my test doc now has shown up in this collaborations folder because that's where I was when I clicked on that new doc. So just note that it's going to go wherever you are within your drive is where that document or slideshow or whatever you're creating is going to be created. So you might want to navigate to where you want that file saved before you decide to create it for a little bit easier organization. So you can also tell over here you've got your priority. So that was under settings. You could have set your priority page as what you wanted to see when you open Google Drive. And it's just going to show you basically the same things as quick access. So any files that you have opened or edited recently, and potentially files that you have opened a lot or use a lot. So I haven't really opened this Master Chromebook inventory that recently, but I use this one all the time. So that's probably why it's showing up here. Your drive, again, is just going to be the basic page where you can navigate to all of your folders, all of your files. And shared drive is a good one for you guys to note. A lot of you might not be familiar that we've got this shared drive available, but shared drives are drives that can be shared countywide or just specifically with people within the county. And everyone has access to the drive automatically, so you don't have to worry about like sharing anything out or your share settings, because everything that's put in these drives will be shared automatically. So like I've got the CCS Media Coordinators one. Anything that is important for us media coordinators to know can be put in here. So if I go into this media coordinator drive, we've got all of our information about Chromebooks because the media coordinators manage the Chromebooks in each school. We've got our technology reporting. We've got any grants that are relevant to media centers, how-to guides. We even have some STEM and STEAM lessons built in here. Whenever we meet, that's where we toss in our meeting agendas, so everyone is on the same page with that. So it's just a really easy place to make sure that everyone is getting the information in a group of people. So back in the shared drives, you can see we've also got one for MHS, and I know this one isn't used very much. Not a whole lot has been added here, but we've got some attendance and absence notes. We can put schedules here, staff forms or student forms that are relevant to our school. So anything relevant to that you can add in to your shared drive if you think it's something that needs to be shared with the whole school. You've also got over here on the left, shared with me. So any files that people send you in order to give you access to those files are going to show up in the shared with me part of your drive. Now, anything that's shared with you is not going to show up in your normal My Drive folder here until you add it to your drive specifically. So, for instance, if I wanted to add this paper homework list to my drive, oh, it's already added, so let's find something else. Let's say, sure, this video right here that was a test that we did for the Google Meet. And so this is a recording from that Google Meet. So there's a couple options on how I can do this here. So I can right click and I can select to add this to my drive right here. If I click on that, it's going to ask me if I want to organize that. So you can see it's added to my drive. Right now, it's just going to show up in my drive folder. It's not going to be put in a folder. It's not going to be anywhere specific. It's just going to be in general files under my drive. So if I click on organize, that's going to show me this little panel where I can navigate through my drive. So let's say this is a Meet recording. And so I want to add it to this Meet recording because that's what it is. So if I select move here, then you can see, if I exit out of that it has been added to Meet recordings. So now when I go up to my drive, go into Meet recordings, you can see that video has now been added to my Meet recordings folder. Very easy to access and very easy to organize from there. So that's a great thing to note when you are getting documents shared with you. You do want to make sure that you've got your files that are important added to your drive so you can access those later. They won't disappear from shared with you unless you go through and delete them specifically, or if access stops being shared. So if somebody shares something with you and then unshares it for any reason, it should disappear from your shared with me and you won't be able to add it to your drive anymore. You've also got recent. So again, this is going to be kind of like quick access. It's going to show you anything you've opened or viewed recently, anything you've modified, etc. That's going to show up in your recent activity. Starred, I don't have anything starred, but you can see when you do those drop downs. So let's say if I did drop down on this, I can add a file to my starred when I right click on it, and that means it would show up in my starred files right here. So that might be a way that you want to mark files that are important for you to look at, maybe files that you're actively working on that you just want to have access to in one easy location. You might want to add stars to those if you want to find it later. And then, of course, you've got your trash can. So if I'm not mistaken, everything will stay in your trash can for up to 30 days unless you go up here and click this empty trash, and then it's going to delete everything out of there. So you can see I've got quite a few videos that are old videos that I edited and then didn't need the original version anymore. So all of those are in here. So anything you've deleted out of your drive is going to show up in your trash can up to 30 days. So if you've accidentally deleted something and need it again, make sure you get to this trash can and find it before that 30 days is up so it doesn't get automatically removed. And then lastly, you can see your storage, and it tells you what amount of storage you are using and how much storage each of your files is taking up. So that might be an easy way to clean up your drive if you need to do that. I'm going to go back over here to my drive, and you could kind of see on a few of these things. So if I right click on a file, I've got the options to remove it from drive. I can download it. I can report abuse. So if it's, a file that was shared with me that's inappropriate, I can flag that file. I can make a copy of the file. I can view the details of the file, which will just tell me like the file type, the file size, the file name, things like that. You can rename it. You can add a star. You can move it to a different folder. You can add it to a workspace. So I don't have any workspaces created, but you can create a new workspace. So that might be something you want to do if you're working on like a specific project or something that's going to be ongoing for a while. You can create a workspace that all of your files related to that project will go into. You can get a shareable link, or you can share. You can also choose to open your file with any apps that are built into Drive that it will open with. Or you can choose to preview the file, which if I click on that, will just give me a little uneditable preview of that file. If you're clicked on a file and you go up to this top bar next to your drive where the navigation is, you can also see you've got the shareable link option, the share option, the preview option, and you can remove from your drive. If you click on the little hamburger right there, it gives you the rest of those options that right-clicking on the file gives you as well. So a couple different ways you can access that toolbar for files, and just an easy way to look at that. So I currently have my files set up in list view, but right here you can also change that to a grid view. So if I click on that, you can see that's just changed all of my files into a grid. So if I go into MHS, everything is now on a grid and gives me that little preview of the file instead of just the list like I had it before. So like under collaborations here, you can see that all of my files are just giving me a little preview, and it's going to be the same each time I go into anything over here. Okay, so I personally prefer the list view. It works perfectly all right for me, and I don't need to see that preview, but it's up to you however you want to set that up. And then lastly, this little info button will let you view the details of anything that you have selected as well. You can also note that over here you've got that quick link to your Google Calendar, quickly link to any lists that you might have created and any tasks that you might have created. So it is important to note that for the lists and tasks and calendar, all of that syncs across all of your G Suite apps. So if you've set up a task in your Gmail, it will still show up here under your task list in Google Drive. So it's very, very easy to get access to those things that you've saved with this side table. And if you click on that little plus button, that gives you another way to get some add-ons that you can use within Google Drive as well. And the last thing that I really want to show you is how to add new files to your drive. And there are a couple of ways that you can do that. So first thing is if you go to your locally stored files, so this is my file window. I have a quick shortcut to it on my dock right here, but you can also press the magnifying glass button on your keyboard, and you can search for files and it will come up. Or if you expand that magnifying glass, you can see all of the apps that you have installed, and you can click files when you find that app in there. So in my downloads section, I've got quite a few different files here. So let's just say I wanted to add this passage 1 right here to this location in my drive. So all I'm going to do is click on it and drag it over and drop it into my drive. So you can see here, if I move my face, it uploaded my file. It's telling me the upload is complete, and now Passage 1 has shown up in my drive right here. So easy way to upload, as easy as dragging and dropping. Again, if you want it to go into a specific folder, you would have to navigate to that specific folder before you could drag and drop and let it go in there. But of course, you've always got the option to right click and say you want to move this to a different location, and that will give you your file structure that you can navigate through and move it to a different spot. So if I wanted to move this into MHS, but I didn't have a spot for it, I could also create a new folder within this little organization pad here and put in a new folder that I want for this file to move into. So very easy, very built-in functionality that I like a lot with Google Drive. Last thing is how to add a file that you might have been emailed. So I'm going to open up my email, and again, you see this little grid up here gives me quick access to all of my G Suite apps. So if I click on that grid, it's going to show me everything that I have connected to my Google account here, and I can just click on the things to get the access I need. So I'm going to click on my Gmail now. All right, so you can see in my Gmail that I have moved all of my emails into a temporary inbox just for some privacy, so you guys don't see anything that's inappropriate for you to see. But I do have one email in here for this Drive video. So when I click on that email, you can see that I have 2 attachments in here. And let's say I want to add both of these attachments to my drive. I've just got a book passage and a video that was recorded using Zoom. So if you hover over it, you can see you've got 2 options here. You can download the file with the little arrow that's pointing downward, or you can add to your drive with the Drive logo. So if I click Save to Drive right here, it says this has been added to my Google Drive now. And I still have that same organization option. So if I click on organize right there, it's going to give me that same file structure where I can find a specific spot to put this file now that I have saved it to my drive. Same exact thing that you see within Google Drive shows up right here in your email for easy organization. You can also select the Zoom video, which is an MP4 file, and save that to Drive if you need to. Again, it's going to save to your general Drive folder unless you click on that Organize button and put it into a specific folder. If you unclick it, or double click it, excuse me, it's going to give you that option to organize your file as well. Over here as well, you can see you can download all the attachments at once, or you can save all of the attachments to a Google Drive location all at once as well, if you just want to do it all in one chunk and not have to worry about saving each thing individually if maybe you've gotten a lot of attachments in there. So those things are just email attachments, so they would not show up in my shared with me. So the only way I would get access to these files in my Google Drive is if I went and saved them to Drive with that quick save button on each file. So that's how you add a document from an email into your Google Drive. And again, if it's something that's shared with you, so like somebody's clicked the share button on a Google Doc and sent that to you, it should show up with your shared with me folder, and you can add it to your drive from there. So if you've got any questions on how to use Google Drive, I know that was a very quick overview, but I think it's very important for you guys to keep your files organized, make sure that you've got easy access to everything you need, and make sure you know where things are just to increase your ability for workflow and be able to locate the things that you need quickly. So again, if you've got any questions about how to use Drive, please let me know, and I would be happy to help and answer any questions that you may have. See you later.